Hello YouTube viewers and subscribers. What I've got on my bench today is an engine I purchased for a pretty low amount of money. It had been sitting on RC groups for some time and I was starting to feel sorry for it. So the seller lowered the price and then I got it lowered even more. And for all purposes it looks like a real piece of crap after I inspected it closely here. This is a GMS 120 two-stroke, and like I said, it looks like it's definitely had some runtime on it, and it looks like a hybrid engine because this exhaust it came with is from an Evolution engine, so I have no idea if that was what size Evolution engine. And it also looks like the carb is from an Evolution engine, which I've never had an Evolution engine before, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm only guessing. But usually GMS carbs say GMS on them. Now I've got this prop stub on here just so I could check the compression because this drive washer really wasn't secured at all. It has a collet, but you could just pull it right off. Now, one of the reasons I was saying this thing is kind of a piece of crap is because it's because it's got, you know, hybrid pieces on it. It's got this is exactly how it came. Why this thing isn't mounted the right way, I have no idea, but so it's got this bent remote needle also. But the thing that's odd about it, and I've never seen this before, and not sure if it's correct or not, is I believe this is an ABC engine, but I'm not sure if this is assembled correctly, because if you go through here, you see right here, let me get a light, there's a hole in that piston, which I think is an intake port or something like that. I just have never seen pistons with holes in them like that will come up and actually that hole be visible through the exhaust side. So I'm not sure if this is assembled correctly. It seems like maybe this piston should be 180 degrees the other way, so I'm not really sure. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start, instead of, I mean, it's got really good compression. I mean, here, listen. What I'm going to do here, at least initially, is I'm going to take this head off and see what the top of the piston looks like, and then maybe the back plate, and from there maybe decide whether I'll just try and run it like it is, or the bearings feel decent in it. I guess I could have pulled that plug, but well, bearings feel alright, so I don't necessarily know that I need to tear it down that far, but I might disassemble it enough to try and figure out if that piston is in there right. I've just never seen anything like that before. It's got good compression, but if that piston isn't oriented properly, then obviously they're going to run for shit. But I kind of wanted to try this engine out just because I've got the Irvine 150 and I've also got a Thunder Tiger Pro 120 engine, so that'll give me three digit size two-stroke engines. Let's zoom in here a bit. I mean, obviously this engine could use a cleaning. And I may just go ahead and disassemble this thing because it's really kind of sad looking. Can really use a good cleaning. Maybe I will just do that and determine the fate of that piston, because this thing is pretty nasty. Okay, nice. It's got an O-ring seal. Wow, check this crankshaft out. Or that counterweight. And those bearings look like they're pretty dirty. They feel okay. I guess the next thing here is go heat this thing up tremendously so I can pull that sleeve out. Okay, so I've got the excuse me, the cleaned up parts of this GMS 120 two-stroke engine here, and I want to talk about them a little bit. First is this crankcase, which I've just kind of put back together here. I'm not really ready to assemble this engine yet, but here's that collet that I was saying just kind of comes right off, which is okay, I suppose. Now when I took this engine apart, or actually before I took the engine apart, the bearings felt good to me, but the engine was just so nasty looking that I wanted to dismantle it and clean it up. And that's what I've done, and it didn't come perfectly clean in many places, but the bearings, I went ahead and did something I don't normally do, which I just cleaned them up in my ultrasonic cleaner, oiled them, and just put them back in. Now the front bearing is a sealed bearing, and it was basically perfect. The rear bearing was not 100% perfect, but good enough for the few runs that I'm going to do with this engine. I think it'll be adequate, and if it sounds bad or doesn't perform well, then I'll just replace them. I mean, no big deal. So here's the head. It didn't come completely clean, and it's kind of marred up looking. Here's that Evolution carb. The carb and this remote needle valve I'm not going to use. I'm just going to kind of put those off to the side. I've got a nice brand new Super Tiger 60 size carb. It happens to fit this engine perfectly, that I'm going to use when I run it. In fact, this Evolution carb didn't even have a O-ring on there, which that's really not a big deal. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was I was completely mistaken when I said that this engine looked like an ABC engine, because it's clearly not an ABC engine, and I found that out in a big way when I disassembled it, because when I pulled the sleeve out, this is a ringed engine, and in fact it actually uses a Dykes ring that sits right on the top of the piston. Now I found that out because when I went to pull this sleeve out, I must have twisted the sleeve just a little bit, and it caught the lip of the ring, and when I pulled the sleeve out, the ring broke. And here are the pieces of the ring, and I was like, holy crap, that sucks. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to find a replacement or not. But the fellow that actually took over for Frank Bowman, Bjorn Ball, I contacted him, and his response was almost immediate, probably within an hour or so of me contacting him. He said yes, he's got these rings, or he can make them, or whatever. So I've got a new ring coming, so I'll be installing a new piston ring here, and I put a little tick mark where the pin is for the ring gap. Now when I was saying that I thought this thing looked like it was assembled wrong, I don't think that, maybe that piston is broken out. Yeah, so this piston is screwed now that I'm looking at it a little more closely. Something bad happened here, and it's not supposed to have this scalloped shape like that. It should look just like this, and that's where I was seeing that coming out. So now, had I inspected this a little bit closer, I might have actually just saved the money and not purchased that ring, because now with this piston skirt being broken out like this, I don't really know that this engine is going to run properly, because when it comes up there it's going to expose that, and I really don't think that's going to operate. So now I'm kind of bumming. I mean, the ring was only $16. It looks like Mikoa took over some of the stuff for the GMS line, but they've got very limited parts, and I really don't think that they're going to have a new piston head for this, so I'm kind of screwed now. I just noticed that, and now I'm kind of bumming because, well, A, because I really wanted to run this engine, and B, because I paid $16 for a ring that is completely useless to me now. So anyway, that's kind of where we stand. I guess running this carb on here is kind of irrelevant at this point, because it's unlikely that this engine is going to run properly at all now anyway. So that wasn't exactly how I wanted to end this video, but it is what it is, and thank you for watching.